Well, my family experienced poverty in different times. My father was held back from school after third grade to work on his parents' farm because they had a large family and they were facing possible bankruptcy. And so he had a limited education. He was barefoot summers. They had one toy for 10 children. It was a rubber ball. As a young man, at the beginning of the Depression, he was homeless for a while, lived on a riverbank. Then the Depression eased off. He got a job. He proposed to my mother. They got married in 1936. And then he lost his job, and he could not find another job. They ended up living in an attic. And his mother gave him a lot of land, and he borrowed $75 and built a garage that was to later become the garage for the house that was eventually be built in front. But that's where we lived when I was born. I was sitting on the floor of the tiny kitchen inside the garage, and there was a door there, and my mother and I went outside to play in the dirt. My mother gave me a spoon to dig with, only spoons are what you put in your mouth, right?
Yeah.
So I got a big spoonful of dirt and put it in my mouth. Feeding the pigs, mowing the hay, baling the hay, cultivating the corn, picking the corn, running the corn picker up and down the rows. The one-room schoolhouse, that was 3 years. I say I can still remember every person in my class. Her name was Mary. That was it. And then I went from that to Turner School in Rockford, Illinois, 45 kids in the class. I moved across town to Ellis School, 45 kids in the class. And Roosevelt Junior High, 45 kids in the class. And then to Belvedere High School. A totally different group of people. So I lived in 6 houses by the time I graduated from high school. So it was always about my dad making deals with the property to get ahead, because he wanted his kids to go to college. He knew he had to get ahead. He had to become financially secure. Unfortunately, that involved a lot of moving. But also in terms of social life, our religion was anti things like dancing or going to movies, so there wasn't a lot of things I could do with other people. I wasn't even allowed to do square dancing because that leads to ballroom dancing. You know what that leads to. And you asked me how it affected me. Well, unfortunately, all my professional work involved working with people. Guess what I had the least experience with? And even dating. I didn't know how to talk to people, have a conversation, and really have friendships where you hang out and talk and chat and learn what the other people are learning about life and so on. So that created difficulties in all my jobs throughout life, and that I seem pretty verbal now, but the first 60 or 70 years weren't as verbal. And so I did think of being an engineer for a while instead of what I did. I finally decided it was more important to help make society work than build another machine. I thought it was very important when I was working my way through college that I do something that would be meaningful, that would give my life meaning. When I went to work for the city, first they put me in jail at the Detroit House of Correction, where I was supposed to be the counselor for alcoholics. But I began to apply my academic background when I discovered there was a problem out there. People were dying from withdrawal, alcohol withdrawal. Nobody was doing anything about it. So I researched it, wrote up a paper on it, because that's what you do when you come from college, And I said, well, here's what we should be doing. And the doctor said, oh, yeah, I guess I'll do that. And it worked, and people started recovering in a humane way from their withdrawal symptoms. Then I was brought downtown, and my boss said, I want you to design a detoxification center. I want a detoxification center for public inebriates, public drunks in the city of Detroit, instead of just throwing them in jail. So figure out how to do that. And so I kind of researched it and began working on it. And I came up with a budget and a program design. And then I had to raise the money. It would be about $250,000 a year for the budget. And I was able to do that. And then I got 2 other grants at the same time, one of which started a drop-in center for homeless people, which is still in existence today, and that was 1972 that it started. Now I'm in retirement. I'm still trying to work on issues like criminal justice reform and climate change. Those are 2 big issues that I'm working on in my own way. Criminal justice, I've been in correspondence with a number of prisoners, life prisoners mainly, in the Michigan correctional system, learning things that need to be changed. For example, they're not allowed in many cases to begin any educational course until they're within 2 years of the end of the sentence, which may never come if you have a life sentence. And that's ridiculous. We ought to start day one helping people to become well educated and learn how to get along with others. And so I've written legislators about that. In fact, tonight when I go home, I have to update another letter for a person who's in charge of the policy committee in the State House with the recommendations that I've put together. And I've worked with a group of prisoners to get their recommendations, and we're pulling those together. In climate change, we've tried to do everything possible to make our home in a model of what can be done. So that you start with simple things like insulating the walls, insulating the ceilings, and changing the light bulbs, and go on to more complex things. When I did some renovation in the basement, I put a lot of insulation on the walls, and I got the heating bill down to practically nothing. I mean, it's very, very easy to heat the house now. And then I went, we had solar panels installed last summer, and now I'm writing these things up and helping other people to learn what I've learned, and help them to make decisions because they see somebody else has already tried that, and he's sharing his information, and now I can make my own judgment. I don't listen to music a lot, but I did, I've listened. Country music is enjoyable for me because it tells a story. Sometimes it rings a bell, you know what I mean? Like country roads take me home. It takes me mentally back to the country road we lived on when I started school, and I walked that road to the one-room country schoolhouse. And then another one is, they think I'm a big man in Detroit City, and I don't know the rest of it, but it's basically I'm not. You know, I started in a school, in a one-room country schoolhouse near a village that had one stop sign, and I ended up doing some responsible work in the city of Detroit. So it kind of rings a bell. I know I'm still a country boy. But when I write the letters home, it may sound more important than it really is.